John Hilton wrote a book that describes Sonora in the 1930s and 1940s called Sonora Sketchbook. In our presentation of January 11th, 2024, Almost resident Rafael Arenas Wong discusses the contribution that John Hilton made to an understanding of the herpetology of Sonora as he was writing his classic book, published first in the 1940s. Read online is the first edition. In the second, and I'll try in the light that I have, he writes in the preface, after the first publication of Sonora Sketchbook and my later article in the Saturday Evening Post on jumping beans, I bought an old house in town and started fixing it up. For several years, we spent a good deal of our time there, out in the back country. I tried in every way to find the means of making a decent living there without going into the hotel business, but with no success. I operated gem mines, looked for lost treasures, tried more writing. As it turned out, I might just as well have gone into the hotel business, as there was no such place worth the name in town. That's changed, I think, since the 1960s. Well, then later he writes about his efforts to preserve Álamos and keep it pristine and not turn it into like a Tosco. Many of us have been to that part of Mexico. And of course, many other people did, but in the preface he mentioned some of those things. Rafa has been a part of our community for, I'm guessing, 10 years. And he has studied his college work is in the area of ecology, and he'll talk a little bit more about that. And when we started talking a while back, I was really interested because he loved this book and wanted to discuss it. And his presentation is really primarily on the plants and the herpetology. He'll talk about that. But we just welcome Rafa to the Álamos History Association.
Good morning, and thank you for being here.
So I titled my presentation, The Kids from Güirocoba and John Hilton Contribution to Güirocoba. This is a sketch that is in the book, and the painting is a painting of Hilton. It's a landscape in Güirocoba. John Hilton was born in 1904 in North Dakota, and then he died in Maui in 1982. He was known as a desert landscaping, painting, and illustrator. He was a lifelong student of the desert geology, biology, zoology, its history, native people, and especially women. This is a photo of him. And so I found this is another painting that is made of, and this is in the second or third edition of the book, in the cover. And you might don't read it, but in the corner it says in dedicated to Kauai, and it does say where that this painting was for. So he did publish this book in 1947, and the first edition was by Macmillan Company and had 333 pages. So I found these reviews. This is in the New York Times. This was a review of the book of the New York Times. And I like that part. It says, it is land lacking of the growth and glitter, the fancy clothes and contemporary pumping of the capital, but a land of be preferred in many ways. It's talking about Sonora. Because the person that wrote this review, he compared to Mexico City. I guess he didn't have any other view that was he knew about. And then he also said, like, readers with a natural interest will find fascinating chapters about plant rejuvenating crab and jumping bee. This is another review that I found of the book, but this is in a biology magazine. And this again, it's a very nice review. It says the biologist whose interest have led him to study life in the field will enjoy this book. Not so much, however, for the actual biology it contains, as for the anecdotes which will recount memories of former expeditions and supplement their experience. Hilton has deep interest in people and the country, as an interest which he has succeeded in blending with his own artistic ability, to an extent that conveys the real picture of trouble in the moment. So this is another review that is very interesting. He said, and this is from an art person. I found this in a webpage, so I didn't know who wrote it. He didn't say. But he said, can you imagine him holding a Gila monster in one hand, being in a horse riding? And so he was a mix of everything. It was this guy that would like zoology, being an explorer, but also had this great ability of painting and writing. So he was an artist too. This is another painting he did. This is a view from Cachama. And this couldn't be from either Loma de Guadalupe or for Davis McLean from Porch. So this chapter starts with Hilton saying he received a letter from Charles Boger from the American Museum of Natural History. He wanted to collect some specimens. So he said, I started already interested in trying to event on one of my trips to Sonora. So this is how this started. And I found this picture also it's in Berkeley University. It's in the zoology department also, because some zoologists came from Berkeley too. So they have this photo from Güirocoba from the 39. So this guy, Charles Mitchell, was an herpetologist that worked at the American Museum of Natural History. By 41, he was an assistant in charge curator of the herpetology department. But then he became the chairman and curator in 68 when he retired. So he during his period as a chief chairman, the collection rose 67%. So he really was working on getting more specimens during his years. And he also had an artistic side. He would like to record. Can you go back? Oh, sure. Because they used to record broadcasts for science, noises of the program. So he was interested in recording. So he recorded a mariachi in Chapala. So Güirocoba, and I will use this information. A lot of the information is from the article that Booker wrote in 1945. So most of the information might look unupdated. Some it is, some it's not, because I'm just trying to give you the information, the story information. So Güirocoba was founded in 1960. Nowadays, 2020, they have 121 inhabitants. But back in those days, they had around 400, even a little more than 400 inhabitants. And James described the village of Güirocoba, which means buzzard head in the Mayo language and refers to a bird north of the valley. So it is a formation. Probably the one in the back that could, it was from. And also this is another painting of Hilton. And I'm not pretty sure that that painting is from there, but I think it is. the man flower. And also with Güirocoba, you can find that they can write it with an H or with a G. So this is a map of, you can see what it is Güirocoba in the corner, very close to Chihuahua and Sinaloa. It's about 45 kilometers from Álamos, southeast. And you will see it's just in the base where the mountains start. And it's next one. So the community is in a valley between two set of mountains to the side, and with a river crossing the community. But Güirocoba in those days was a small village, and I would say was located in the foothill of the Sierra Madre Occidental. This ranch was owned by McCarthy, is an American that lived there for many years. But he lost half of the property when the agrarian movement came in the 20s, 30s. And so they formed an ejido. And then eventually, with time, he lost all his property, and they made the ejido bigger. So he said that the 33 families got land from his property at that time. So this is another view of the site. You can see from there. So this is an actual from Google photo, and you can see it's a valley with a lot of agriculture and the mountains. So this is James Clay Montgomery McCarthy. And this is the guy sitting there who is next to, I guess, his wife, which is Emilia Salido Apodaca. He was married to a Mexican. And so McCarthy helped a lot of naturalists during a period of 30 years. So I found more information about McCarthy in scientific articles than in other parts. Because a lot of the people that was there that describe new birds, new lizards, new frogs, and many other things they found out there. And they talk about McCarthy. Jim McCarthy. And John Hilton stacks in the books. You will see the name McCarthy or Jim. And I think the book is dedicated by my old Uncle Jim. So they really grew up a good relationship during those years. So here is again Jim McCarthy. And this photo is around in 29, I think. And you will see with all the other guys are zoologists. I think they were there's military macaws in that cage on the corner now. Military macaws. Macaws. So McCarthy had a little brothers and sisters also that live there. And this is a more recent picture of a brother and a sister of him in Güirocoba. So when Hilton tried to get his first lizard, he realized that he wasn't going to be able to pursue that. So some boys, I guess, look at him, he was struggling to catch this zebra-tailed lizard. So the boys came and knocked it down. So then he realized like the boys would be a great help, and he started paying the boys to bring him new specimens. And this is what the boys learned a lot of important And he said, but some of the species that were poison, even the boy wouldn't want to collect, so he had to collect. Or he will raise the price for specimens in particular, or this voice. So this is kind of a collage of photos of how he had to do. Get the boys to get the lizards or serpents, or then he talks about getting some mezcal because he didn't have formaldehyde first. So he was preserving species in big jars. And he will have to get especially in the big lizards or serpents, snakes, he will have to take whatever they have in the stomach first. So he will have to section it and take what is inside, then to preserve. He kept some alive also, like the tortoises, he kept it alive. So this is the report that was brought in 1945. And so this is Volker and Oliver, and talk about this is a preliminary based on two expeditions. One was made for Hilton made, and the other one is Oliver. James Oliver came later, in 1943, but he only came to Álamos. He didn't go to Güirocoba like Hilton. So this report was made with those two first information. And Hilton, the person who was the connection, was this Steve Blackman from Beverly Hills. So he was the connection between Bogart and Hilton. I don't know what he got. So during this expedition, Hilton got 180 specimens. So that's a lot of birds. This photo is also was on the article, but this is a photo from Álamos. This is the Álamos. Here. So probably this photo is from Black and White, I will say, and later. Yeah, there was no house, no million. So here a side note about taxonomy, because I want maybe you will have some questions. So taxonomy is, in a broad sense, the science of classify individuals. And so therefore it's a methodology of principles of systematic botany and zoology sets up. And so it's the way that zoologists and botanics arrange plants and animals in a phylum, but yeah, and it is a form on. I really had a hard time with this word. Hierarchy, yeah. It doesn't read from a superior to a minor level. Next one. So this is how zoologists and botanics arranged by a kingdom, then by a phylum, by a class, by an order, by a family, genus, and species. So a kingdom will be animals, or in this case, do you hear me without the mic? So kingdom, phylum will be chordata, that is all the vertebrates are in that phylum. And then the class will be, what will be the class? Reptilia, or no, I got confused. So kingdom with animal, phylum, chordata, that is vertebrates, and then will be the class. In this case, will be the reptile or amphibia. And because herpetology got amphibian and reptiles together. It's the name they use to use those groups together. And then we have the order will be inside of the reptilia, there will be serpents, snakes, vipers, snakes or lizard, tortoises, geckos. So they have different order, and then they divided subfamilies, and then in genus, and then at the end, what we use is mostly the species, which is the species is the genus and the species. So it's a two-word name for a specimen, but also we have subspecies. So this when you add a third name. So any question with this, because probably animal, it will be it's animals or plants, it's a major group. No, will be for example, in this part will be chordata, which is animals that has bones, the structure of vertebra, yeah, vertebra. And then the class will be inside of the animal that has bones. We have reptiles, amphibians, mammals, and birds. Any other question? So to classify this specimen when you get it, so the first thing you have to go is go out of the field and collect it. Find it and then do the preservation part. That it can be dry. Some people get just the skin, some people get the whole specimen inside of a jar, or sometimes it's alive. So whatever you need to prepare, every specimen has a different way to be prepared and preserved. And then what you do when you are now in the lab, you start comparing this specimen with a different range of specimens you already have or you already know. So then you will try to find where this specimen, the species of bird, another animals. So I think in the design, it was already a knowledge about this high place that was very close to the border, even in those times. The tree was the same tree but with a third road. And so it was a bloom of scientists coming to Sonora. And there's a lot of specimens around many museums probably around the world that the specimen is from Sonora or is from the Álamos. And those specimens were used to describe the specimens.
Could you explain what a subspecies is? You said it's a species and there is subspecies.
Yeah, a subspecies will be like type of race. It's done. What do you say? Like a raza? It's the same species. It's like among humans. But then we have different origins or more because they live in this area, they get with time and evolution, you get different characteristics. But you came from the same species. But we have an evolution item. They have an evolution. The evolution hasn't taken them into a new species. So they are subspecies. So subspecies are local or regional. And they're in the same order. Different families and different genus. Okay, next, what I'm going to present are notes or in the paper that was published by others, mostly. And I will show you some photos of the actual specimens. And this is also a photo was in part of the article. So Hilton refers to this Sinaloa narrow mounted toad as being very loud. It's very small, but very loud. And people will call them rana pajarito. It was very difficult to find and capture the size. It will be always high behind under leaves. So this is in the book, if you read the first approach that he had, is with this lizard. It's the zebra-tailed lizard. They're very fast, but they like to be in sunny places. So he found a new subspecies in an article that was published in 47. So he found this new subspecies. Yes, the kids capture. And then, well, this is something. This article nowadays is better, but this article doesn't mention the kids. It should. I mean, name by name, because they are part of the collection. But in those days, were not that people wasn't really sharing. They wanted the crown for them only, and they are not talking about all. Nowadays, the articles you will see all the authors of the article will be the people in the field, and maybe there's still some people that don't do it, but the best way is just put everybody who was involved, really. So unfortunately, we don't have the names of any of those kids, and might should be some of them will be around. Okay, this is the real Puerto Rican lizard. Oh, I'm going another note about taxonomy. It always changes. They always find new ways to analyze. And now with genetics, they do different things. So things have changed. Names have changed. Things are changed from genus to different genus, sometimes from families. So here, the lower name is the actual name in taxonomy. So if you see in the plates two names, the three names. The first name is an English name, then is the name that when Hilton collected, that was the name he given, and the second or third will be the actual, the nowadays. So beetle lizards were it's a poison. People were very afraid of them. They also thought about you will have a bad spell if you find one. So you have then to take out the bad spell, you will have to kill it and hang it from your house. So, and it seems to be very hard. It's hard. So they buy you and they don't want to let you go. And they're hard to kill. Hilton in the book talks about he had one specimen, he opened it up, and then he had quail eggs inside. He was just had eaten the quail egg. So he took the eggs out, and then he was drowning it in alcohol or water. But then the thing kind of came alive and went out and started walking and opening the jaws and walking around the room. So all the locals were more scared. So they are hard to kill. Well, this is the local stranger, and Hilton also natives also didn't like this or snake. They are harmless. They are no poisons. And people have many stories about being nervous and eating little pigs. And when he found rabbits, John rabbits on the stomach of this snake, when he got it. This is the Sonora snake. Also, people thought it was a poison, but it's not poison. This is a Sonora whip snake, and they call it culebra de pollo or culebra chocolate. And he thinks the name comes because this racer likes chicken, little chickens, little pollitos. These are very fast. Then Hilton found this milk snake. He said that a different three more species. There are people call them coralillos, which is a poison snake, but this one is not. There's only one. Right. Then they have this snake that he found, and they actually put his name, um, kind of honoring his collection. But with time, they found out that was, well, can you put the next one? There was already described for somebody else and was invented. So they took back the name. But it was a different subspecies at the end. So they call them synonyms when people describe snakes, and you can see the person that described it and the date. So sometimes they will collect, especially in different states or different parts, but they will be the same species. These plates are also for the original. This is a desert night snake. Hilton said that they call them víbora muda, and people also believe they are poisonous. This is the campil of Mexican moccasin, and this is a poison snake. This is a viper, and the local name is pichicuate. And this is one of the more difficult to get because people was afraid they didn't want to collect them. So when he got one specimen, it was all beat out. Mm-hmm. Oh, the cotton mouth. So and people think they make this whistle noise, but that they never hear. Well, this is a turtle, and this was the most common turtle that they keep from. Once the rain started, the turtle were all the pounds, cattle pounds in the river. They have a very bad smell. And this is another species that Hilton was new for science, was subspecies. At the beginning, they also thought it was a new species, but then they found it was a subspecies, and they named it after him. And had same name in genus and species, but not the subspecies. So this is the article of this when they describe these new species. This is the same, more plates from the article. So these photos are the actual, real specimens that were collected. This is another species of turtle. This species is it's here around Álamos. It's northern distribution. It doesn't go very far north. And they call it Tortuga colorada. Here is another one that was new for science, that is when Hilton collected. At the beginning, they called them Terrapenic Clawberry because the guy that made the description was a scientist named Clawberry. And so, but again, and this was one of the hardest tortoise to find. So he was giving more money to the kids if they will bring one of these. And the guy that came to Álamos didn't find one. Oliver. Man, if you see this photo, nowadays there's science doing research in this story. So you will see in this photo in the back has a radio transmission. So they are studying it more now. So this is the article they came out to describe the species. And this is This is published in the National Museum. I think it was the Bulletin of the National Museum. Natural History, National Museum. And this is a notes that I get from the book. At the end of the chapter, he was playing with these little snakes, very bright colors. And he closed kind of the chapter saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So this is actual a coral snake, which is poison. So he was playing with that. He didn't know what was playing. And this is another one that he had really troubles to get because people thought they were poison geckos. So he wouldn't catch them. So he had to do it by himself with a flashlight. And they called them salamanqueses.
I want to, first of all, let's give another round of applause for Rafa. I want to, while we're all here, before we dismiss, I want to tell you next week is going to be fantastic. It's not Thursday at 10:30. Next week, Wednesday, starting at 5 o'clock, we will be here for a social hour at 6 o'clock. The Maria Felix, Pedro, let's say I can't think of his last name right now. A great movie, 1946, called Enamorada. And it will be here. We will play the movie. And this is a classic Mexican movie. It also deals with history. It takes place in the Revolution. You are going to love it. It is wonderful. So that is Wednesday, 5 o'clock on January the 16th. And yes, it is in Spanish with English subtitles, and you'll be able to follow right along. It's Wednesday the 17th. I might have had the wrong date that I sent out, but I'll be sending out another notice. Okay, is Pam, you here? I'll let our president.
No, I just want to say thank you again, and thank you, Errol, our program chairman. And if you haven't paid your 200 peso dues, please come to me and I will endeavor to get your email address. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.